I don't know who said that necessity is the mother of invention, but in woodworking, it certainly is. Hello, everyone. Colin Cadet here for Woodwork Web. Today, I'm making a jig, and I've made a prototype of it. And today, we're going to make a working. I've got a few adjustments to make because I figured out that it works. It actually works quite well. So I wanted to show you how this little jig, how I put it together, so that you might be able to do one, because it's a pretty quick and simple little jig to make, and I think a lot of people will find it useful. It's basically a doweling jig to cut dowels, to cut them to the right length. Now here's what I've been doing to cut dowels to the right length. Look at this. So what I do is I put this little very rudimentary jig into my vise, and then I take one of my dowels that needs to get cut and I just lay it in this little slot here, and then I just simply, I move my hand out of the way, and then I just simply cut it with a little saw. And it doesn't take that long to do to cut these, but I know that there's a quicker way. One of the most critical parts is the part that holds the dowel, and this part is 1 3/8 inches deep, and I'm going to cut it to 2 inches wide, and that's what's really critical, is the width. That I found that 2 inches is a good size. The next thing I need to do is cut a hole all the way through the block, and it needs to be roughly in the middle this way and about 1 inch or so from the end, but it does need to go all the way through. And the hole that you're drilling for your jig, the dowel wants to go through easily, but you don't want it too sloppy in there. It just wants to be able to drop through like that one. So the way this jig will work is the dowels will go in from this side. So I'm going to put a little arrow like that. They will go in like that, and then they will bump up against something here. And this area here, from here to here, which is where the blade's going to go through, I've discovered that that's fairly critical, and I'm going to set mine at about 1 1/8 inch, right about there. And what I'm going to do is use my circular saw blade and make a preliminary cut right through there. So right through there. Now the next thing I did is install a 7 1/4 inch blade in my table saw instead of the 10 inch. And the reason I want that blade in there is because it gives me a very fine cut. And the next cut is the next critical point in this jig. Now to make this cut, I need to put an auxiliary fence on my miter gauge. So I'm just going to screw this piece of wood to it, fasten it down nice and tightly. Now I just cut the base out, and I'm going to be using this on my bandsaw, and the reason is I just find the bandsaw is a little bit safer tool to use. And what I'm going to do now is just align this and drive them in like that one. Okay, now the next thing I need to do is to align this, but I'm going to need to go over to my bandsaw because the blade is going to run through here, and the miter slot is somewhere around here, but I'm going to need to figure out exactly where that is, so we'll need to bring the bandsaw in. So to do this part, I'm just going to drive the screw in right where it is. I'm going to put that right there and try and align that in the middle of that slot. And put that one in there. And these are very short screws, so I know I don't have to worry about them. Put that one there. There we go. Perfect, that slides nice and easily. Okay, now we just need to put the stopper on. So this was the first slider that I made, and you can see it's got kind of a, I'm not sure why I did that, but it worked okay, but I'm going to try this one as well. And this is just a piece of plastic that I cut out, and I do have a video on working with plastics. We'll put you a link to that. And I'm going to contact cement it to this board. Then I'm just going to trim that one and put it on over top of this. And I think the plastic will slide a bit better. So anyway, we'll test this out and see. Well, we've waited the designated time. Now when I put this on, I want to make sure that the plastic hangs out a little bit here, because then I'm going to want to sand it or file it so that it's going to be smooth across the top. So I'm just using this board down here to make sure that it's flush on the bottom. And I'm just going to put some pressure on that, and that should stick really well on there. Okay, now all I'm going to do, I'm just going to do this off camera. I'm just going to file this so that there's this little bit of a bevel on here so that this is flat straight across here. Okay, I've just done a test run of it, and it works great. So here's how it works. This slides much easier than the last one I did. So you push your dowel through. First of all, you need to figure out how long your dowels are, and they're basically from the slot to the very tip of this. So I've just set something arbitrarily because we're just testing this at the moment. And you just push it through, and it slides right up to the right length until it evens off up here, and then you just push it through the blade. And when it gets through the blade here, if you're using a long dowel like this, you can just push it right out and then slide it back a little bit, because you need to clear the blade each time, and then put the next part in and just keep running it through like that. If you're using little ones like this and you're just cutting the tips off, basically it works the same. So you push it through with the second dowel, and again it still seats itself and it cuts through here, and when you get finished on this side, you push the dowel out. Get on this side. You push the dowel out on this side, but there's still a little chip in there, so you need to pull it all the way back, push the chip out down here, and they just collect down there. They're out of the way. Then you reseat the second one. So let me go through and show you how this works. And I'm going to use these smaller dowels because they're a little bit more, the big dowels are really easy to use. It's the smaller ones that are a little bit picky. So let's show you what it works like. Push the little chip out, seat the next dowel, push that out, push the little chip out, seat the next dowel, and that's how it works. That's perfect. That's way quicker than doing them by hand. Well, that concludes my video on making the little dowel length sizing jig. And this one works on my bandsaw. What a great little jig. I like the fact that all of the dowels that I cut are all exactly the same length. They're quick to cut. They're probably 10 times quicker than what I do trying to cut them by hand. And you know, it only takes a minute or so to set this up on the bandsaw and to set the size up. So a really great addition to my jig collection. I'm Colin Cadet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and click the little gear symbol so that you get notified every time that I upload a new video. And stay tuned, I got lots of videos coming.